Hello, Missouri Department of Conservation and Nevada Department of Wildlife. Thanks so much for sticking around for our last presentation today. We know it's been a long day, but we are so excited to share our work with you. We also wanted to give a quick congratulations to teams Vista and Ampersand. You all created amazing and inspiring campaigns, so congratulations to both of you guys. And with that said, we'd like to introduce who we are.
We are Team Venex, a combination of the words venerate and apex. Joining these words together creates a team name that expresses the values in which our team cares about the most, treating each other with the greatest respect and holding ourselves to the highest standard.
We have held true to these values throughout the semester and feel that we have indeed produced something of the highest standard.
Being a student-staffed agency and Yaya individuals ourselves, we are able to come up with the most innovative on-strategy solutions. We know what works with these people because we are them.
By using research found in our 2020 State of the Yaya research report, we were able to come up with unconventional solutions that speak directly to the current youth and young adult population.
So when you all asked us to find out not only how to raise Yaya awareness regarding the importance of conservation efforts in wildlife, but also to figure out how to reach and engage Yaya individuals, we were confident in doing just that.
As you heard in the situation analysis presentation at the beginning of the day, although roughly half of Yaya individuals are aware of the AFWA and 60% are aware of their state's Department of Conservation or Wildlife, there isn't much interaction between this age group and the organizations, as 40% of the Yaya demographic still have not participated in a single education course offered by AFWA members.
So how can we get this demographic more involved with what the state agencies have to offer? Well, we do know that this target is drawn toward nostalgic feelings. Better yet, some of their favorite childhood memories were made out in nature.
All the scrapes on our knees will tell you where we've been, where we have
We
played.
all have those memories from when we were kids. The ones that are still so vivid in our minds that if we close our eyes, we basically travel through time.
Climbing on the monkey bars was my favorite playground activity. I treasure the memories of spending time with my siblings at the park and running around to learn.
I remember going camping and fishing at Kern River every summer and occasionally holding baby pigs just for fun.
I can still recall camping with my brothers at Tom Sauk State Park.
I will never forget my summer spent fishing on the river with my dad.
We're all just searching for something bigger than we're all able to find.
To show we're not the only ones, the New York Times shared an article that said nostalgia had been shown to counteract loneliness, boredom, and anxiety.
It makes people more generous to strangers and more tolerant of outsiders. On cold days or in cold rooms, people use nostalgia to literally feel warmer.
When people speak wistfully of the past, they typically become more optimistic and inspired about the future.
Nostalgia makes us a bit more human.
This feeling of nostalgia related to nature goes beyond just memories of playing outside. It's our own personal library of sensory-based flashbacks that evoke the strongest emotions.
In the words of George Eliot, we could never have loved the earth so well if we had had no childhood in it. If it were not the earth where the same flowers come up again every spring that we used to gather with our tiny fingers as we sat lisping to ourselves on the grass, the same hips and haws on the autumn hedgerows, the same red breasts that we used to call God's birds because they did no harm to the precious crops. What novelty is worth that sweet monotony where everything is known and loved because it is known?
It's the foundation of our growth, the past that led us to where we are, and the roots that continue to ground us. Not only does nostalgia bring us closer to ourselves and the people that we love, it brings us back to nature.
Drawn to this relationship between memories and nature, we came to the conclusion that the Yaya demographic is nostalgic by nature.
With this insight, Yaya individuals and the current audience will be able to relate to the brand's services and missions. Nostalgia is universal. It relates to everyone.
Nostalgic by nature humanizes the brand. It presents an opportunity to break through the clutter of strictly informational, scientific captions and content, and taps into something not commonly addressed in current messaging: emotion.
In fact, consumers respond quicker to emotion-based content. A recent study found that when confronted with sensory information, the emotional section of the brain can process the information in 1/5 of the time the cognitive section requires. By including more human-based, sentimental stories in their messaging, the AFWA will secure a more connected audience.
It also drives engagement due to its nostalgic foundation. An overwhelming majority of the Yaya demographic spent time outdoors as a kid, and 68% say they feel nostalgic when thinking about time spent outdoors. This campaign will capitalize on this sentimentality and compel people to go outside while sparking conversation, and therefore brand awareness.
So our primary target is the group that would be most likely to act on an AFWA advertisement due to their standing relationship with the outdoors.
They are forward thinkers who grew up spending time outdoors and therefore are emotionally driven to conserve for the sake of future generations. This is something one of them would most likely say. I used to spend so much time outside as a kid. I wasn't super athletic, so I wasn't playing soccer or baseball or anything like that. Most of the time, I was just running around aimlessly in my backyard or playing in the dirt. I had some grand idea that if I dug far enough, I would find some lost treasure. My mom always likes to pull out the pictures of me with dirt and mud smeared across my face and stuck in my hair. It's crazy to see how much I've grown and how far I've come. I'm too old to be digging in the mud now, but I'll go mountain biking every now and then if I have the time to get that same feeling of breathing in fresh air and getting a little muddy.
In terms of demographics, we want to target 18 to 24-year-olds. Beyond that, part of the beauty of this campaign is that it transcends demographic boundaries.
We want to focus on people who grew up spending time outdoors and still engage with the outdoors today. People whose engagement often comes in the form of being passionate for one specific activity are still interested in doing that activity in the outdoors. And finally, people who have prioritized relationships and personal growth.
By incorporating all of these psychographics, we are targeting people whose memories shape them into who they are today, and people who are able to relate to the emotionality associated with memories and nature.
These are the people that reflect back on personal memories with their friends and family. In an in-depth interview that we conducted, a participant shared one of those personal memories. I grew up fishing. We used to have a lake house in Oklahoma that my grandfather had, and every time we would go there, I would just beeline it to the lake with my little Scooby-Doo fishing pole and a little box of worms. And that's what I would do sun up to sundown. He really got me into that.
Yaya individuals are reflective, and they enjoy looking back and simmering in those feelings of how nature made them into who they are today. However, that doesn't mean they're stuck in the past. Just as they want to protect their past memories, they want to assure that they're able to form similar memories now and in the future, which can't happen without conservation.
This reflection on the past encourages this group to be more perspective when it comes to the environment. In fact, 98% say they care about environmental conservation. Yaya individuals believe conservation is important for a variety of reasons. One reason being that it affects future generations.
We are targeting people that are feeling this nostalgia through ads that evoke memories they had as kids. These are memories that could be as specific as feeling the slimy scales of the fish that Grandpa just caught, or maybe they're as vague as feeling the breeze in the fall time as you run. Whatever the memories may be, these will encourage our target to navigate, understand, and appreciate this nostalgia, ultimately bringing them to conservation areas. Wanting to convey the emotions and passion tied to preserving not only moments from the past, but the activities they love today, we are targeting nostalgic navigators.
Nostalgic navigators are still involved in outdoor activities and are members of Facebook groups related to the outdoors. This means there's a huge opportunity to connect the audience with the brand.
Both nostalgic navigators and the state agencies have the same mission: to preserve. Nostalgic navigators are trying to preserve and maintain their childhood memories, and the state agencies are trying to preserve areas where those memories were made and are still being made.
This intersection allows us to connect nostalgic navigators with AFWA members on a deeper, more emotional level.
That being said, there are so many strong senses in nature that bring people back to a specific place and time. With this in mind, we started thinking about the well-known saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, did it even make a sound?
There are so many things that happen in nature that we would never even think about unless we're there to experience it. We want to remind nostalgic navigators of the great things happening in nature that they're missing out on but once experienced. Things like rivers trickling or sun rays poking through the canopies of trees.
Using this statement and turning it into something positive expresses the fact that if people aren't around, how do we know something is even happening? Without us, these spectacular moments in nature are never experienced.
We are reminding people of cherished childhood memories, like toasting a marshmallow over a fire to make a s'more.
If a marshmallow gets toasted and there was no one there to taste it, did it ever become a s'more? Never lose touch. Visit neverlosetouch.gov.
Hearing the crackling campfire and seeing the flames under the illustration will have Yaya mouths watering for this sweet childhood treat. How can they let this experience go to waste?
Using real video and photo, then placing illustrations over it, we are showing viewers that they can experience these moments. They just need to be there. Nostalgic navigators will want to step into the visuals and will also be able to see a bit of themselves in the accompanying copy.
By encouraging people to make new memories as a way to get back in touch with the experiences they once had, we want nostalgic navigators to never lose touch.
This campaign urges nostalgic navigators to literally never lose touch by experiencing the senses that nature has to offer, while also never losing touch with the memories that can currently be made in nature.
With our insight and big idea focusing on nostalgia, we wanted the visuals and tonality to personify the feelings of nostalgia through its muted color palette, design treatments, and written persona.
Through these visuals, we will be highlighting the ability AFWA conservation areas have and sparking reflection on past memories among nostalgic navigators, while also getting them to see these areas as a great place to make new memories.
So, how exactly can we tie all of this together? Well, through this integrated campaign, the AFWA will encourage nostalgic navigators to never lose touch with nature and their past experiences by triggering childhood memories.
The tactics we will be using are video, social media, a mobile app, a campaign website, micro-influencers, and finally, events and experiential. We also plan on partnering with an iconic brand that relates directly to childhood nostalgia. We'll get more into which brand we chose for this later.
With these tactics, we created a consumer journey across an 8-month time frame that is divided into 4 stages. These stages include déjà vu, reminiscing, seeking familiarity, and finally, getting in touch.
Déjà vu is the first stage of the campaign, and this is where content triggers a vague recollection tied to senses. These are the memories you didn't even know you had, things like cicadas chirping in the distance, or the crackling background noise of a campfire. The memories that you might not have originally associated with the conservation sites, but now you will. This will be the first time that nostalgic navigators are becoming aware of the Never Lose Touch campaign.
During the first 2 months of the campaign, Never Lose Touch will be introduced through pre-roll video on YouTube and pre- and mid-roll ads on Facebook. In each video, we pose a question related to a memory in nature, leaving the audience to wonder how much of nature is not experienced without people there to witness it firsthand.
This first video focuses on the feeling of jumping in a puddle.
If a puddle pulls up and no one is around to splash in it, did it ever rain? Never lose touch. Visit neverlosetouch.gov.
Hearing the sounds of the outdoors and seeing the splash of water, Yaya individuals will escape into simpler times of jumping into a puddle. This next one focuses on the sounds of cicadas in the summer.
If the cicadas are buzzing and no one is around to hear them, did summer ever start? Never lose touch. Visit neverlosetouch.gov.
With the familiar chirps of insects that only come around every so often, our demographic will be instantly reminded of their childhood summertime activities. And finally, our last video is of skipping a rock.
If a flat rock washes up and no one is around to skip it, did it ever hit the water? Never lose touch. Visit neverlosetouch.gov.
With the visual of a rock bouncing across the water as it leaves the expanding water ringlets behind, Yaya consumers will be wanting to get back into that feeling of a flat rock between their fingers to see how far they can skip it nowadays.
Micro-influencers will also be utilized in the second month of the campaign to reach a broader audience. Micro-influencers are a great avenue in this step of our campaign due to the fact that 68% of Yaya consumers agree that influencers are more credible when they have a smaller but dedicated following.
The first micro-influencer we chose is Zach Baker, who posts footage primarily in Missouri. Montano, who posts footage primarily in Nevada.
Seeing these beautiful landscapes that are actually accessible to our audience will make nostalgic navigators realize how easy it is to relive those cherished memories that they have in nature.
The second stage is reminiscing. This stage sets nostalgic navigators up to play back and re-experience the senses of their childhood memories, in turn leading nostalgic navigators to explore ways to reinvest themselves in the outdoors. With sensory copy that leads Yaya individuals to relive memories, they will want to go out and find the perfectly flat skipping rock or taste that sweet, crumbly s'more again.
During these next 2 months of the campaign, photo ads on both Facebook and Instagram will continue to evoke nostalgia and inspire our target to never lose touch. This will drive our nostalgic navigators to further interact with their state's agency through the app and website.
This first one is a Facebook ad of an illustrated fish being caught with a caption that reads, "If a fish swims for food and no one is around to catch it, did it ever take a bite? Moments in nature need you. Feel the tug of your line lead to the cool scales, slimy with fresh lake water." Ending with our tagline, "Never lose touch."
This illustration will make nostalgic navigators go back in time to the memory of holding a slimy fish. They'll want to click on the call to action to download the Missouri Outdoors app and be back out patiently holding their fishing line in no time.
From clicking on the call to action in the Facebook ads, the consumer will be taken to a mobile app. In this Missouri-specific app mockup, we feature activities that were selected based on our research of what Yaya individuals currently do and what they would be interested in potentially doing. This includes activities from running and hiking to more relaxing things like lounging and even stargazing.
Based on the activity chosen, our nostalgic navigator will be brought to a checklist of what they would need for that activity. For this mock-up of camping, they can check off things like a tent and a sleeping bag, or even a firewood to accompany them in building the perfect campfire.
Focusing on the senses related to these experiences, the description of a campfire reads, smell the musky campfire smoke, and listen to the whispering hisses interrupted with sizzling pops as the wood disappears beneath the bright flare of flames.
Upon clicking on Find Places Near You, the consumer will be brought to a location where they can have these specific experiences.
Moving further with the sensory copy, this description of Pony Express Lake reads, Pony Express Lake is primarily forest-filled. The area is comprised of fuzzy, damp moss, the smell of rain, flowers, and crisp pine needles, and open, soft grasslands that flow with the wind.
The Nostalgic Navigator will also be provided with a list of activities they can experience in this location. As shown, Pony Express Lake is a great place for camping and viewing wildlife.
For those state agencies who do not currently have mobile app capabilities, however, we came up with an alternative solution, an Instagram ad.
We use the swipe feature to express someone making a s'more, with copy that reads, if a marshmallow toasts over a fire and no one is around to taste it, did it ever become a s'more?
Seeing the flare of flames will have nostalgic navigators imagining themselves holding that marshmallow over a campfire until it is crisped to perfection.
With a swipe, you'll see a similar campfire background with copy that reads, moments in nature need you. Taste the warm, gooey marshmallow on top of messy, melted chocolate, all sandwiched between crumbly graham crackers. This sensory-specific copy will have our audience basically already tasting the s'more. They'll have to experience the real thing. This will bring them to swipe to the logo and tagline, Never Lose Touch, and eagerly click on the call to action, neverlosetouch.gov.
From clicking on the Instagram call to action or through the app, the consumer will be taken to a state-specific landing page where we feature various activities similar to the app layout. The activities featured can be anything from swimming and fishing to viewing wildlife. This landing page also features a place to look for more information specific to your state, in this example, Nevada.
By this third stage of the campaign, nostalgic navigators are seeking familiarity. Beginning in the 4th month of the campaign, nostalgic navigators will start to take action. They are ready to have a two-way conversation with the agencies and join in on agency activities and events.
They may even pull out their own photo albums and VHS home movies to share personal nostalgic by nature content. In this stage, we will host Never Lose Touch pop-up events on college campuses.
By using a pop-up event that focuses on physically touching things from nature that evoke a memory, nostalgic navigators will put those to the test and begin to take action. These pop-ups will cause them to experience a rush of wanting to refamiliarize with nature and those activities they did as kids.
At this event, we'll have signs with our tagline, Never Lose Touch, and a sign that reads, if a branch grows from a tree and no one is around to climb it, did it ever give the best view? Moments in nature need you.
In this visual execution, we have the pop-up event using the maple tree seeds that people often remember in their childhood as helicopter seeds. With these being a common childhood memory in nature, we believe this is a great way to evoke people's nostalgia of them as kids.
At these pop-ups, we will have rewards available at each level of participation. This first reward will be stickers with our tagline, Never Lose Touch.
Next, we have car air fresheners to hand out. With smell being the most powerful sense, specifically when it comes to emotions, we felt that car air fresheners are a great way to remind people of their memories in nature.
This first one is an illustration of the Missouri flower with copy that reads, if a dotted hawthorn blooms and no one is around to smell it, did spring ever start? Moments in nature need you, with a call to action to our campaign landing page. The second one we have is the smell of air after it rains, and the third is that ever familiar smell of a campfire.
Reminding nostalgic navigators of these familiar smells will bring them back to nature and make them want to go experience the air after a fresh rain or the old familiar stories told around a campfire.
Getting in touch is the final stage our nostalgic navigators will go through. Nostalgic navigators will endorse the agencies and encourage others to do activities with them.
In this stage, we will introduce our Never Lose Taste, Never Lose Touch food truck event. A majority of Yaya consumers say they have attended an outdoor event at a state conservation area within the last year. So this event is a great way to actually get Yaya individuals out in these areas.
The Never Lose Taste, Never Lose Touch event will give nostalgic navigators a chance to sit around campfires, eat some tasty s'mores that remind them of their childhood, and enjoy being out in nature.
This event will focus on our Marshmobile, a s'mores food camper, and will be held at the AFWA conservation area in order to get more people to interact with AFWA offerings.
In order to really hit home with nostalgic navigators, we want to incorporate an iconic brand that people remember from their childhoods. And what brand is more notable and nostalgic of childhood s'mores than jet puffed marshmallows?
Just as s'mores evoke nostalgia, Jet Puffed is a brand that has an inherent connection to childhood memories. Partnering with Jet Puffed is a great opportunity for their company to remind nostalgic navigators of the great times they had, not only eating s'mores with their marshmallows, but also in the outdoors. It will also be a great opportunity for Jet Puffed to involve itself in a meaningful cause, conservation.
With this Jet Puff partnership, we'll have a poster that focuses on those memories made with their marshmallows. Reading, if a marshmallow toasts over a fire and no one is around to taste it, did it ever become a s'more? Moments in nature need you. Taste the warm, gooey marshmallow on top of messy, melted chocolate, all sandwiched between crumbly graham crackers. Make memories while you taste memories.
Moving into the timeline, the Never Lose Touch campaign will run for 6 to 8 months across 2 seasons, and each state's unique climate will be the deciding factor for which seasons each state launches within.
As for Missouri, we have the campaign stretching from February through October, as the weather in Missouri permits more outdoor activities in the spring and summer when many Yaya individuals have time off.
And for Nevada, the campaign should skew more toward the fall into winter months, avoiding those unbearable summer temperatures. Nevada's timeline will launch from September until April.
Regarding budget, AFWA members will choose the tier system and touch points that are right for their personal budgetary constraints.
The tier system ranges from $25,000 to $500,000. This system was based on the client investments associated with each touch point and the potential each one has to capitalize on the reach and frequency of the Yaya audience.
The importance of incorporating the senses that happen in nature and relating this back to childhood nostalgia is essential to this campaign. The emotionality will be the main driver that will make Yaya individuals aware of the state agencies and encourage them to create experiences in nature.
It's a reflection of the past.
A reminder of what made these people who they are today.
A feeling of warmth and familiarity during hectic times.
And finally, it's a new memory being made.
It's never losing touch.
Thank you all so much, and we will now open the floor to any questions.